Hey guys, today I want to talk about Medivh, particularly why the pros play Medivh. So to start off, I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, Medivh's picked because he's got great portal usage, or he's got these shields, or he's got a lot of damage, or Leyline's amazing. While there's a variety of reasons that are pretty obvious, there's a few that are a little less obvious. Now, I'm going to go over all of them that are obvious and less obvious, as well as just a few other interesting things about Medivh and why he's powerful. Currently, Medivh is one of the strongest people in pro play, and he's utilized in a variety of team comps, and honestly can be picked in just about any team comp. In pro play anyways. When you get into QM and HL, it's a little bit more difficult to pick Medivh into every situation, but with a coordinated team, Medivh is pretty amazing. To start out, I want to explain a little bit about what his build is, and I will say that I'm using Master League for most of the pro gameplay that I use, as well as the pro builds, but I will say that it is a little bit outdated in terms of the builds, just because he recently had like 2 or 3 changes to him. So I will adjust this and explain what the new one is, the new builds are anyways. So at level 1, there's really only 2 options that are being picked, which is the manually place both portal locations. I think this one's the best one because it allows you to play in an aggressive position by getting vision on the enemies, as well as if someone dives on someone in your team, you can still safely place a portal without placing one that brings them right back into the team. So I think this is the best one if you're going to be aggressive with your vision. If you find yourself needing to roam a lot, like on Braxis or Dragonshire, and less about vision, then it's more important to go with Winds of Celerity, which makes it to where you move faster, and you can still place regular portals, but not the really tricky portals. Then level 4, there's really only 2 options that are picked up. Raven Familiar, which makes it to where every time you go through a portal, or your allies go through a portal, their next auto attack deals bonus damage, as well as slows for 30% for 2.5 seconds. That's a pretty long slow. This allows you to actually have some sort of CC on Medivh before level 10, which is very powerful because level 4 happens pretty early on, and to be able to portal your team behind the enemies as well as slow them the entire time pretty much guarantees a kill in most team league games and a lot of competitive games where the enemies decide to split up a little too early. And then level 4, there's one other option, but it's a pretty niche pick, which is Dust of Appearance. And what Dust of Appearance does is it just does a giant reveal that not only increases his sight range, but also reveals any stealth heroes that are in the area. I would say this is good against a Zeratul. Other than that, don't pick this talent. Go with the Raven Familiar. Level 7, Arcane Explosion, even after the nerf, is really the only option on that level range. There's a Q auto attack build that's okay and gives you some self-healing, but ultimately Arcane Explosion is going to get the most value even after the nerfs. Level 10, both ultimates have their value. What many people say is Leyline is used to lock people down for combos, or to lock people down if you feel like you're going to be chasing a team comp that doesn't want to do direct fights. Well, if you don't have combos, or you're worried about other scenarios where there's a team that wants direct fights, like direct 5v5s, then you want to go with Polybomb, which forces them to split up during a fight and gives you more opportunities to win. Both of Medivh's ultimate abilities are extremely powerful and should be used at the right times. You don't really want to waste them too much, but a Polybomb wasted is still okay because it's still a decent 2 seconds. So if you don't get bounce value off of it, it's still very, very valuable. Level 13, Circle of Protection was the only pick. But now, after the latest couple patches, he's being picked with a different level 13 talent. It's still good if you're going to be doing the combo where you all jump into an objective, you put a shield on everyone, you take a bunch of damage, and you one-shot someone. That's still a possibility, but with the nerfed level 7 and the nerfed level 13, not only is this more risky to do, but it's also less rewarding if you do it. So I don't recommend doing that. What instead I recommend is at level 13, try out Enduring Will. This means that if you prevent a certain amount of damage, it reduces the Force of Will cooldown by quite a lot. In fact, usually after I use my W, it only has a 2 seconds before I can toss out another W. So I think this is much more valuable, and it works in more scenarios. There is a slight healing build that's being tested by some pro teams right now, where you go Force of Magic to increase your spell power, followed by Reabsorption to increase your healing. healing. If you can get a large chunk of damage, you can pretty much full heal someone on your team. But that requires the enemy to make a variety of mistakes, which is why I don't recommend it too much unless you're against a team that's going to be doing guaranteed damage with like a pyroblast or something, which is so off and it's just not predictable. Level 16, it's always stable portal, and the reason why is because you want the longer portal duration and the shorter cooldowns. You want to have portals out the whole time, especially with the synergizing of the level 4 talents. Level 20, it's best to usually upgrade your ultimate ability, unless there's a rare scenario where you have a couple allied heroes that all have mana and you need spell power. It's kind of like a mini nano boost to everyone. But in most scenarios, you just upgrade your level 20 talent. So, these are the builds that the pros are using with Medivh right now. And before I get into my game, I mentioned before that I may have some sponsorships in the future. And in this case, this episode is brought to you by Honey. Honey is an add-on that you can add to Opera, to Chrome, to really any other browser that you use. And I have a link below that will automatically detect your browser and show you where to install Honey. Why do you want Honey? Well, Honey is a tool that you can go and shop on 100 different websites, and if you shop on any of these websites, things like Amazon, Walmart, Best Buy, it will automatically include the best coupon for the item that you were trying to buy. So if you're trying to buy something that's $17 and you click on buying it, Honey will automatically search the internet for coupons and include that coupon so you save money. But wait, there's more. Whenever you're purchasing anything from any of these websites, it will also pop up above the price of any item that says, save blank amount of money by clicking this link instead. So instead of buying it for $274, I can mouse over this and I'll be able to buy it for cheaper, as it was $274 with $22 of shipping. Now it's $295 with shipping and tax included, so you save $2. But wait, there's more. There's also a little button that appears not just on Amazon, but just about any other retailer that uses Honey, where you can mouse over this and it adds it to a drop list. A drop list means that you can set a price where if this item goes beneath the price within the next blank amount of days, it will send you a notification on Honey as well as an email to whatever email address you put on Honey. This allows you to look at a game like this, a game that I was very interested in. I said, hey, when this drops below $45, I'll pick it up. And I got an email. It says that it dropped below $45 at walmart.com. So that is Honey, and if you're interested in downloading Honey, I've got a link in the description that will automatically give you the correct link no matter which browser you're actually on. Thank you for that, and now into the game with Medivh. So to start off, this game is a professional game between Team Octalysis and Team Freedom. Now, the person who's playing Medivh is Dainsky, who we know as a very strong mage player. And that's one thing that's interesting about Medivh is it's sometimes picked up by the support players and sometimes picked up by the mage players, because he does do a lot of damage, but he also has support mentality. So if you were playing on a pro team and you're wondering who should pick up Medivh, oftentimes it's a flex player, a mage player, or a support player. It is up to you guys, whoever wants to pick up the Medivh. Now, the first thing that you should always be doing with Medivh is, in my opinion, one of the greatest reasons why he's picked in pro play, which is vision. You should immediately place yourself in the vicinity of where you think the enemies are going to go, and you want to adjust between two areas to where you can see vision in multiple areas. In this case, I would move from here down to here and then start moving up to this bush right here, so you can kind of get the vision back and forth between these areas. It would be hard for the enemies to stay in an area, so you're always getting value no matter where you go. And it's very simple. The enemies can't approach, they can't do anything because they always have vision on them. The next thing you want to do is you got to be careful about, if there's going to be a fight, you don't want to stay on vision anymore, because you have vision on everyone and you don't need to be there. So now you want to position in a way to where you can get Q stacks and W value by saving your team. So I would position kind of up this way so that my team's down here, someone who's diving is right here, and I can simply shield them, and you have the position where you can get portals out. He decided to pick the movement speed, the Winds of Celerity, which means that he doesn't have the tricky portals. So when a fight starts, he can no longer be in the position of getting vision. He has to immediately switch to the position of where can I be to get a portal in case my team gets in trouble. So you can see he's going for Q stacks. He's saving his W, and the value of saving your W is, a lot of people will use their W all the time, which I think is okay for some people. But sometimes it's better to hold it, and the reason why is because everyone's afraid to use their abilities to do damage because they know that you still have a shield up. So a lot of times people will hold abilities and your team can walk out without you ever needing to use a shield. In this case, for example, if Falstad were to use a W on someone, then you can immediately follow with a shield. But if you hold your shield, then Falstad may never use his W because he's worried that you're always going to do a shield. As you can see, Falstad didn't use a W, and he was able to shield right at the end of the fight instead of tossing it out too early. Now again, he focuses mainly on the vision. He doesn't really need to assist anything here. He moved over here to get some vision to make sure that the enemy team wasn't going to be flanking his team. He should have moved up a little bit earlier just because that thrall was getting a little close, but he still was able to move up, get the vision that he needed, and he also got a couple stacks off of it for free. But he's playing very safe with the stacks. The pros with Medivhs are a lot different in pro games compared to in Hero League games. In Hero League games, you want to get these stacks as soon as possible. In pro games, you want to play it safe. You want to get all the value you can off of your other abilities and play as safe as you possibly can. Just getting stacks whenever you safely can do that. You can see he's not using his W very much. He's just holding it so that enemies are too afraid to use their abilities. His team's going for a camp right here, so what he does, he doesn't show it too much. He acts like he's just checking vision here, but he makes sure that in case they do go up this way, he still has vision over here. If he would just sit right here the whole time, it would be pretty obvious that they were doing a camp. Right here, he's soaking the lane while his team's getting a camp. Medivh can't really speed up any camps because his ability only gets reset it only gets reset when he hits a hero, and it doesn't get any cooldown reduction when you hit minions, or camps. So he can't really speed up camps too much. One thing that you sometimes can do is if there's only 2 people taking a camp, you can simply just place your Medivh over the camp and be perfectly fine to kind of distract them. Because if they only have 2 people doing a camp and your camp's done and they know that 4 people just got this camp, you can simply place the Medivh over this, get vision, and the enemies will stop doing the camp because they're afraid they're going to get ganked at the camp. And this is a tool that he doesn't utilize at all during this game, but I personally think it's something that he could have been doing, as it's a very popular tactic in the European pro games whenever they use Medivh. And you got to utilize things that you learn from other seasons as well. So I definitely think he could be doing that a lot more aggressively, of using the vision to scare away the enemies. In this scenario, he's a little far away, but he can simply place a portal, and then the W range is much larger than you would think. You really can't see it from here, but you can see he's about to cast W. Watch how far away he uses it. Do you see? It's a huge range for W. So simply placing a portal in a W allows the Gul'dan to take a bit of damage before he jumps out of the portal and gets out. Medivh is very powerful at making sure that no one dies early game in professional. So you'll see that this game, there's a good chance that no one on their team is going to die for a long time, just because of how easy it is to keep people alive with those portals. He's pretty safe about using his Q just once or twice. He doesn't want to die over it. He's catching a lane for his team as they're rotating. And they go for something here. And one thing that I want to share is that your portal does give vision. So in case you want to just simply check something for your team, you could toss a portal out, even though no one's here to use this portal yet. And I don't even know if they'll get there in time to use the portal. Just getting the extra vision is nice for your team to walk in. A W right before he takes a chunk of damage is always valuable, and making sure that he gets the Q damage off is nice. He probably should have taken his own portal to get onto the point so that he could have defended and possibly even taken that camp. Now they'll have to clear this camp before the objective spawns. I apologize for the replay bugs up here. These people are not dead. It's just a bug. Once again, he goes for the vision game. He tries to find where the enemies are, and then he stays on the enemies throughout the way so that you always have vision on where they go. I think he could have been a little bit closer to the enemies to make sure that he had vision on him, but I think he's playing it just a little safe. When you're in bird form, you got to make sure you're unkillable and untargetable while you're in bird form, so you got to make sure that you're getting as much vision value as you possibly can, and it also scares people off. If the back line's getting a little aggressive or they're a little low health, you can simply walk on them so that they have to walk away instead of actually staying there and trying to get one more ability off. In this case, he's worried about getting a portal to get his team out, but what he should be doing is staying over here. Another scenario where it's probably better to get the portal mastery at level 1, so you can stay here, and if your team gets jumped on here, you simply place a portal here, and your team's out, while you can still have vision on the enemies. He's too worried to get vision because he won't be able to get a portal out, which is, again, another reason why I don't like the talent he got on this particular map. But again, I'm not here to coach Dansky. He's a pro player. He knows what he's doing. We have different opinions on these things, but I will say that it makes it very difficult for your team without portal mastery. Now, when a team fight starts showing up like this is the team fights that a lot of people have trouble with, where they're like, everything's about to go chaotic, and a lot of people are really close to walls. Diablo can slam into anyone. This is a very unfavorable fight. So what does Medivh decide to do? He needs to get a portal to where he could get everyone out, but if he places a portal now, it's not going to help anyone. So what he's probably going to do is mount up and get himself right about here, and then place a portal back outside of the into his base so that his team can leave through there. And we'll see what he ends up doing. He goes for a unique portal. And a great silence by Stukov, who should be able to take out Diablo. The way he used his Q right there was to hit through minions and then still hit someone. Now, he didn't end up hitting someone, but his goal right here is to help them get this objective while still trying to get resets. He's also positioning to where he can place portals defensively, but he ends up getting an offensive portal out. And you need to remember that he also has the thing that makes it to where at level 4, if you go through his portal and then hit someone, you slow them. So everyone who jumps through these portals can get a lot of value off with slows and other abilities. Pretty simple. He's going to catch the wave right here. They got a Punisher, and now they can decide what they want to do. Sometimes it's pretty fun to play aggressive when you get a Punisher like this and you see that the enemies are splitting to get soak. You can simply place a portal over here, and it might stall the enemies out. Even if you don't go through that portal, it might still stall the enemies out as they're preparing and they're not using any abilities waiting for that portal to go off. He decides not to go that route and simply to go with dealing damage to the towers. He saves the portal for a situation like this where his healer gets caught on the other side and now there's a portal for the healer to get away from. He ends up using the portal to jump in. He gets his bonus damage off from his level 4 talent and is slow, which means that now he was slowed for 2.5 seconds, followed by Arthas' slow, which was enough for them to kill off the person they needed to kill off. Now they're backing up because they could always portal in and take someone out, and in fact, Thrall's over here. I think it would be in a really good spot for them if they did want to take a portal, place it right here, and then see if they can kill Thrall, as all of them would do the bonus crit damage as well as the slow. We'll see what they go with. I don't think they go with the aggressive path. They decide to just back out, which is probably safest. As I said earlier in this game, Dansky decides to go with a very conservative use for his Q, his W, as well as all of his other abilities. He wants to play very defensively, which is perfectly fine. They get a lot of damage off. They get a free kill. On rotation kills are always nice just because you get soak and the enemies don't. You can see using Q for clearing waves is okay. You just don't get your resets, which means that you can only get a little bit of damage off, not too much. Getting Q resets while dealing damage to a tower is a nice way to drop a tower very quickly. They're kind of losing soak in multiple lanes, but again, this isn't really a coaching for a team. I'm going to speed up to level 10. I want to make sure that we can get some plays on level 10. He decides to go with Polybomb at level 10, which I think is a good choice for him, purely because the enemies want a hard engage. They want a hard fight, and they don't really have anything that can combo on the ley line. So I think Polybomb's a perfectly fine choice. Especially since the objectives are kind of clustered. So, for example, if they all cluster right here, one polybomb causes them all to split down this way and to split down this way, which means that you can quickly just take out whoever you want to. If they all split this way, they're all going to be polybombed the whole time. So, I really think polybomb's a good choice for this map. Let me speed up a little bit. He's simply getting vision in just about everywhere, trying to see where the enemies are, trying to make sure that They're not doing their camps. There's nothing on the map right now, so for them to not do the camps is really telling for their team that they're likely going to be sitting in a bush someplace trying to get a kill. So once a couple of them appear, and once he realizes that they're not at the camp, he decides to come down and get vision on where they are. The first thing he should be focused on is checking this bush, as this is the scariest bush for his team to worry about. Easiest bush for them to check, and down here as well. So he checked all the bushes down there, he checked the bush over there, and now what he needs to do is he needs to check the bushes up here to make sure that they're not invading from that direction either. Medivh's wave clear is not very strong, but I think he's just trying to catch this wave and push it so that, because again, he can't really speed up this objective either. So he's deciding, do I want to speed up a wave or do I want to speed up the objective? In this case, he just went for the wave. Again, he's playing very safe with it. He's waiting to use his W because no one wants to use his any abilities on Sonya right now because they know that she's just going to get shielded. So instead, Sonya's just getting free damage off the entire time as everyone's too afraid to do anything to her. Finally, they do a little bit to her, and he can decide if he wants to use a W, but he doesn't even need to do that. Oh, he does do it right before the Jaina damage goes off. So they waited too long to use any of their abilities on Sonya, and when they finally did decide to use their abilities on Sonya, it was already too late. A shield went off, and Sonya was full health. This alone is making it to where Sonya is just destroying their team, all because Medivh just placed everything correctly. Medivh also places a portal up here in case Sonya wants to leave, or in case he wants to jump up and see if he can burst down this Thrall. We'll see which direction they go. It looks like Sonya just decided to walk out as there was an earthquake going on. Now it's all clustered right here. A nice polybomb would split them up just long enough for them to get the rest of the objective. We'll see what they decide to do though. He's getting a lot of Qs which are hitting into all the minions as well as getting resets by hitting the enemy heroes. He did a portal in case they wanted to go into this fight. Now the Earthquake is already down as well as a few other abilities are already down. So they decide to go in. They get a shield off on Arthas before the Apocalypse goes off, but ultimately, I think maybe Sonya was the main target for that. And they get the objective. They honestly couldn't, the enemies couldn't really do anything to them, as everyone that they tried to fight was protected by the shield, as well as there was portals whenever they tried to use ultimate abilities. The portals just made them pretty much null and void. The reason he placed the portal the way that he did and they played aggressively is so that the enemies can't rotate down this way. They have to rotate the long way from going all the way over here and then come down this way. And by the time they get over here, their fort's already going to be dead and the Punisher's already going to be pushing forward. Again, when you're in a situation like this, if you have Portal Mastery, your best bet is to actually be positioning here so you can see where the enemies are. And it makes it easier for Gul'dan to land abilities because he has vision on all of this. But because he doesn't have Portal Mastery, he doesn't want to play this aggressively because if his team needs a portal, he won't have one. He decides to place a very aggressive portal here for a couple reasons. One of the main reasons for this is it gave vision to see where the enemies are without him having to go over there, but it also allows them to send in an Arthas who can do a slow and some crit slows and everything like that, followed by just jumping back through if they waste all their abilities. For example, they already used Root, they already used Blizzard, as well as they're likely going to use another Root from Thrall. He can shield through the majority of that, and then Arthas can just jump back through, and then they'll be down from all of their abilities. He decides to jump through and shield himself instead of shielding the Arthas, which was okay. Don't know if that was the best play, but it worked out. You can see the shield went through right before Falstad did a little bit of damage. Possibly a good time to use a polybomb again just to reduce the damage that they're doing so that you might be able to take out this keep. They decide to play the more safe route, head out, get a couple camps. I'm going to speed up again. We don't need to see anything while they're just going for camps. He's just getting vision on them as they do camps. This allows you to know where they are at what times to make sure that they're not invading your camps. As you can see, they're heading in to evade the camps right now. So all he needs to do is place a good portal and his team's out, but instead Stukov ends up getting a root and a silence and a push off, which saves them anyways. He's simply just staying in the area. This gives him soak at the same time as keeping vision on the enemies. Stukov's catching the soak right there. Stukov's catching the soak right there, which allows him to simply just follow around the enemies and keep vision on them at all times. The later you get in these games, deaths get really, really devastating. So if someone dies, the death timer can be so long that you want to make sure that no one ever dies alone. So in this case, by him following their team around, it allows them to get vision on where they are, so their team can never die by a gank. But it also allows it to where if he sees one person off alone, and he has vision on the rest of them, they can go for a kill. For example, in this scenario, he has vision on 3 of them there, and his team is pinging that they're going to head mid lane. This means that they can get a pretty easy kill on Thrall if they were a little bit more subtle about it. As we can see, we still have vision on 1. He's staying in this area so he can still get soak. But he lost vision on everyone, so he needs to start moving around so he can get vision again, which is what he does. He's checking all the bushes. He's checking the usual travel areas. Yep, in this case, he sees that they're heading down there. Now, Falstad's top. Another example where he has vision on most of their team, sees one person top. They could easily go and kill Falstad, but it would be a lot of commitment to move all the way down to Falstad. So keeping vision on the enemies is extremely important. And when I say he's been conservative with his abilities, he still hasn't even used a polybomb yet. So he's definitely being very safe about everything. They're about to level 16, so what he wants to do now is he wants to follow them around the entire time, and then when they hit level 16, their team can go in for a fight, and because they're going to know exactly where they are when they want to go in for a fight. It doesn't look like they want to do that, though. It looks like they just are focusing on camps and other objectives, so you can see the value of vision on Medivh, and Falstad's kind of forced to stay bot, and he's ended up coming up there, but they might lose the keep because of that. We'll see. Again, Medivh is playing very safe. He's getting in a position where if he needs to, he can move down here and place a portal so his team can get out. He waits before using any abilities. He knows that a Diablo alone can't kill a Gul'dan. He was waiting for Thrall to go in before he did his W and his E. That Earthquake and Apocalypse is a pretty devastating combo. You can see a lot of stuns get hit. Now, he did use a Polymorph right in the middle. And again, Polymorph is less about... In low ranks, Polymorph gets the most value out of all of its bounces. But in high ranks, imagine Polybomb more as a zoning tool, where you activate a Polybomb here and Falstad immediately goes down. You have Malfurion who goes away, and you have Thrall who goes away. Now everyone's split up, which means that Arthas can go in on Thrall, as well as anyone else can kill these while everyone's split up. So watch this zoning tool, how well it works. Everyone separates from each other. Arthas pops his ult, walks in, they get some damage off, he gets out safe. I do also want to share something. 13 minutes in, he completed his level 1 quest, right? The Arcane Rift. 13 minutes in. We've seen pro players who can complete this much faster, but it took him up until 13 minutes to complete it. But that doesn't mean that he's bad. He's just been playing very safe with it. You see, he's been safe with all of his abilities so far, and that safety has been very, very valuable. As you can see, they have 5 kills on their team and 0 on the enemy team. So sometimes playing safe is much better than anything else. As we can see in this fight, he's using his W every time it's up. He's using his Q every time it's up. He's getting a lot of damage off, as well as a lot of shielding. If we were to look at the stats for a second, while he's not the top one on there, he's still doing a decent chunk of damage. He's higher than Diablo, as well as he's higher than a lot of the other supports that are there, as well as he's still adding a lot of shielding in there. And he's been the one that's his portals have kept people alive pretty much the entire time. So he's pretty safe to do whatever he wants to. Again, he's going to have a W back up pretty soon. Probably use it on the lowest health person. Looks like he didn't even use it on him, which is better. They didn't even need it. He uses a shield on himself, which ends up working out. They get a lot of value off of this. Because of the lower cooldown on his portals, he's about to have another portal up, which he can use to take out this Jaina by portaling himself and Stukov in. He portals himself in, gets an auto attack which slows, as well as a Q. Diablo is forced to go back down there, which gives him another objective win. Medivh has pretty much been the reason they've won all of these objectives, as he's been constantly keeping his team alive, as well as he's been doing a lot of extra damage to the minions by simply getting resets off of his Q. He's been getting a lot of experience by soaking a few lanes, even though he's not a main hero to be soaking lanes. And he's just been conservative with his abilities. He hasn't used his ultimates very much. He hasn't used his shields that much. But just the lack of using shields is enough to stop people from attacking someone. Another situation, Thrall didn't even want to use his W. I mean, he got silenced, but even before the silence, he just walked away because he just wasn't worth it to even try, since there's always portals and Ws to get people out. In this case, we've got another portal. We've got a W. He can take the portal out whenever he really wants to. So overall, you can see the power of Medivh. I'm going to fast forward just a little bit. They get this objective. They push forward. And they move on in. Again, getting protected off on the person who's going to take the most damage. A nice 300 heal. Doesn't even need to use Polybomb. He's simply just getting off auto attacks down in the keep first, using portal so that they can jump over and cut off. You saw all the bonus crit damage from everyone jumping through and getting the Ravens, dealing bonus damage there. Goku's about to die over here. He'll probably just toss a W. Boom, Goku's fine. Now they can continue doing whatever they want to, going for the keep, going defending the objective, whatever they want. He plays a little aggressive here. I think he should have just polybombed and gotten out of the apocalypse, but instead he ends up dying, and another person dies, but the game is over. So that is Medivh, and that is why the pros play Medivh. When you are playing Medivh in Hero League, I think that the biggest thing to know is that you can play a lot more aggressive. I recommend, especially in unranked when you're practicing for Hero League, to practice utilizing the Raven Familiar as well as the cooldown reduction on your Q by constantly jumping in on people, getting the auto attack slow, using a Q or two, and then jumping back through your portal. The more you practice with this aggressive playstyle makes it to where you can play really aggressive against the enemies and just kind of stomp everyone while playing Medivh a lot more aggressively. But Medivh is played a lot more conservatively in pro games, and that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the way you should be playing him in Hero League. He can really carry games in Hero League, but he needs to be played very aggressively to do so. So that is Medivh. That is why you play Medivh. And overall, if you guys have any questions or other comments on Medivh, let me know in the comments below. And if there's any other suggestions, toss it down below. As always, I always appreciate whenever I get some subscribers. Thank you very much.